Okay, we received the minutes from last meeting. Are there any additions or corrections to those? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Kevin,
Second.
second from John. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to open up a public hearing for the additional appropriations that were published in the Herald on July 8th, 2021. Is there any comments? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Nancy,
I'll second.
second from Phil. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next thing on the agenda is ordinance number 2021-20. And this is the second and third reading. Motion to read the ordinance on second reading in full or by title only.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to read it in full since it's not a very long ordinance.
Motion to read it in full. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second from Chad. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. Would the city attorney please read 2021-20 in full?
Ordinance number 2021-20, an ordinance appropriating additional money for the city of Jasper, Indiana for the remainder of the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2021. Whereas it has been determined that it is necessary to appropriate additional money for the purpose of defraying the extraordinary expenses of the city of Jasper, Indiana for the remainder of the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2021, including all outstanding claims and obligations and fixing a time when the same will take effect. Now, therefore, be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Jasper, DuBois County, Indiana, that Section 1, for the expenses of said municipal corporation, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated from the general fund and ordered set apart out of the fund herein named, and for the purposes herein specified, subject to the laws governing the same. Engineering Department, Category 3100, contractual services, $30,000. Total general fund additions, $30,000. Section 2, for the expenses of said municipal corporation, the following additional sums of money are hereby appropriated from the Lowett Special Distribution Fund and ordered set apart out of the fund herein named and for the purposes herein specified, subject to the laws governing the same. Category 3100, contractual services, $600,000. Lowett Special Distribution Fund additions, total $600,000. Section 3, prior ordinances. All ordinances and or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are hereby repealed. Section 4, separability. If any section, subsection, sentence, clause, phrase, or portion of this ordinance shall for any reason be held invalid or unconstitutional by any court of competent jurisdiction, such portion shall be deemed a separate, distinct, and independent provision, and such holding shall not affect the validity of the remaining portions thereunder. Section 5, effective date. This ordinance shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage by the Common Council, its approval by the mayor, and completion of any other legal requirements, all in the manner as provided by law. Passed and adopted by the Common Council of the City of Jasper, Indiana on this 21st day of July, 2021.
Could I have a motion to approve the ordinance on the second reading?
So moved.
Motion from John,
I'll second.
second from Phil. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion to read the ordinance on the third and final reading in full or by title only.
I'll make that motion to read by title only for the third reading.
I have a motion from Nancy for title only.
I'll second.
I have a second from Kevin. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Would the city attorney please read ordinance number 2021-20 by title only?
Ordinance number 2021-20, an ordinance appropriating additional money for the city of Jasper, Indiana for the remainder of the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2021.
Could I have a motion to approve the ordinance on the third and final reading?
I'll make that motion.
Kevin?
I'll second it.
I have a second from Dave. Further discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay, next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2021-20. Is that right?
Just did that one.
Public hearing.
Next item is a public hearing regarding the electric utility charging station. So at this time, I would ask if there's anyone public comment on the electric utility charging stations. This was published in the Herald on June 23rd, 2021. And I don't know, Renee, is there any comments that we want to make on this? It's been approved and recommended by the
The actual charging stations are almost complete. They're waiting for one last component, and then they'll be ready to go probably by next week sometime.
And I think we discussed it the last time. One would go at the River Center in the parking lot, and are they two at the post office parking lot? Or just one? Okay, the second one, okay.
I think both have the ability to charge two vehicles at once.
That's right.
Okay, hearing no questions from the public regarding this, could I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I'll make that motion.
Or Dave.
Dave made the motion, Kevin second. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, regarding ordinance number 2021-19, it's an ordinance establishing the rates and charges for the customers of the Jasper Municipal Electric Utility, amending Jasper Municipal Code 1108. It's the second and third readings. So could I have a motion to read the ordinance on second reading in full or by title only?
I'll move that we read it by title only on the second reading.
Have a motion from Chad,
I'll second that.
second from Nancy. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Could we please read ordinance number 2021-19 by title only?
Ordinance number 2021-21, an ordinance governing this, okay, well, that's not right.
19.
Oh, I've got mine in the wrong order, sorry about that. Ordinance number 2021-19, an ordinance establishing rates and charges for the customers of the city of the Jasper Municipal Electric Utility, amending Jasper Municipal Code, Section 11.08.
Could I have a motion to approve the ordinance on the second reading?
I'll make that motion.
Motion from Nancy.
I'll second. Either way.
John can have it.
John had the aisle part of it, and you had the second. All right. Any further discussion?
It says something about the rates are amended from the first reading. Is there some changes? In the utility board meetings,
The verbiage that's municipal spelled wrong, I think.
Oh,
Yeah, it's spelled wrong.
there were several instances of that. That's the only change that
Okay.
we've made.
It was grammatical.
the ordinance recommended a schedule of revised rates and charges.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. To be clear, the only thing that is changing as far as our electric rates are concerned is the addition of this electric vehicle charging station rate. None of the other electric rates are changing.
Renee, can I ask maybe a silly question here, but these charging stations, does the city make money off that? I mean, is there a markup over the electrical costs? And I guess the reason why I'm asking that is that if electric vehicles, continue growing and public businesses open up, or that actually would sell that service almost like a gas station, or would we be competing against them? And how does that work? I think bigger markets, there's probably different small businesses that probably own those charging stations and charge for a profit. So
I reviewed quite a few other communities and other electric utilities and how they're doing the same thing. And based on his research, that's what he used to determine what would be the best way for us to go forward. We would like to earn a return on the investment. So, and in this project, because we received a grant to purchase the equipment, it's probably likely that just over maybe 2 or 3 or 4 years, after that, it'll be a profitable charging station. But I can't tell you.
again, if this goes over, are we going to continue to compete against the private sector and these charging stations? Or I know it's not, we don't have a crystal ball here, so.
Yeah, I think they'll review their utility rates, and including this now in that schedule on a regular basis, so I don't think it'll be lost.
It's probably mainly designed for visitors, more so. I guess if somebody buys an electric car, they'll have their own charging station at home, I would think.
I think that's true. And the other thing is, there's no saying that we as a city won't go to electric vehicles and install more stations for our own equipment. But I think that John's correct, that the majority of the ones that we would install, like these, are intended for visitors who don't have their own charging stations or away from them.
Good point.
Are those listed on some kind of a mapping system or something, the ones that we have? I know that they are around the country, but I didn't know.
It will be.
Yeah. Mhm. In fact, I think through the company there's a company that I hate to use the word operates them, but like you'll pay for it via credit card. That's not something that's going through our system. That's going through the company that we're working with, that we got the equipment from. And that company has a network, and that's where these will show up.
So if it works that way, kind of to what Phil was saying, do we get a reimbursement from that company?
So.
Yeah, and initially, I think, as Renee stated, it would probably go toward our labor that went into installing them and
Yeah.
costs, because we did eat some and we did provide some equipment with this installation, but did talk about it we see where it goes in the future, but there's also going to be some maintenance requirements, some oversight, so we don't know what we don't know at this point. But it seemed like a good opportunity to at least face the future and
So if you pull up and get a charge, how long are you going to sit there and get charged? Is it like an hour?
I think it's 4 hours.
It's 4 hours?
up to 4
Yeah.
hours.
And then, Dave, if you stay longer, there's a camping fee.
Yeah, I see the camping fee and that. It's kind of curious.
The fear there was that somebody would come in,
Park and, yeah.
and never move their vehicle, and then no one else could access it. So the camping fee is in there as somewhat of a penalty. We want it to be accessible to those that need it.
Through IMPA.
Grant, yeah.
Least. I mean, just some kind of alarm go off, you've been there 4 hours.
It knows how long it's been hooked up. I mean,
The vehicle, well, yeah.
Well, your credit card is how you're paying for it, so it's going to bill you based on your.
It doesn't stop like the gas pump.
Should be an app on your phone, I think, when you hook up to them.
There is.
We do.
But again, then the camping fee will go to the credit card company. I mean, do we see any of that then, or is that,
Yeah.
that comes back to?
Probably settle with us on a monthly basis.
And I think, John, you mentioned that IMPA was the
Yeah.
one that kind of facilitated a grant that we applied for, and it was available because of the settlement with Volkswagen. So they were able to put this toward new technology.
Try it, see how it works out.
Yeah, I have a motion from Nancy and a second from John. Any further discussion, questions? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Could I have a motion to read the ordinance on the third and final reading in full or by title only?
Make a motion to read by title only.
I have a motion from Kevin for title only and a second from Chad. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Would the city attorney please read ordinance 2021-19 by title only?
Ordinance number 2021-19, an ordinance establishing rates and charges for the customers of the Jasper Municipal Electric Utility, amending Jasper Municipal Code, Section 11.08.
Could I have a motion to approve the ordinance on the third and final reading?
I'll make that motion.
Motion from Nancy,
I'll second.
second from Dave. Any further discussion on it? Hearing none, I would ask for a vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. 2021-19 is passed. Okay, next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2021-18. This is an ordinance annexing certain adjacent and contiguous territory into the corporate limits of the city of Jasper, Indiana. It's also known as Brookstone 7. And this is available for the second and third readings. The public hearing was held in June. So could I have a motion to read the ordinance on the second reading in full or by title only?
Make a motion to read by title only.
I have a motion from Kevin to read by title only,
I'll second.
second from Chad. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Would the city attorney please read 2021-18 by title only?
Ordinance number 2021-18, an ordinance annexing certain adjacent and contiguous territory into the corporate limits of the city of Jasper, Indiana. Brookstone 7.
Could I have a motion to approve the ordinance on the second reading?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Chad
I'll second.
and a second from Kevin. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That was fast. I didn't do the discussion on it. Was there any?
Third.
We can have a discussion on the third, okay. Sorry about that. So that, going to reading the ordinance on the third and final reading, in full or by title only. I need a motion.
I move for title only.
I have a motion from Chad for title only.
I'll second it.
Second from Dave. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Would the city attorney please read ordinance number 2021-18 by title only?
Ordinance number 2021-18, an ordinance annexing certain adjacent and contiguous territory into the corporate limits of the city of Jasper, Indiana, Brookstone 7.
Could I have a motion to approve the ordinance on the third and final reading?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Nancy.
I'll second.
I have a second from Chad. Any further discussion?
I did have a question. I was reading it, and I don't remember exactly where I saw it, but are there 2 lots in another subdivision that are included in on this? And was there a reason why?
There's 2 adjacent lots.
Yeah, so Green Meadows is the subdivision immediately north of this. There are a couple of lots in Green Meadows, in a part of the Green Meadows subdivision that are already in the city limits. One of the lots that is not built upon, and the new homeowner that's getting ready to build on that lot wants it to be in the city limits. So she asked to be part of this annexation petition. And then the Foose property is a little corner that is carved out of the part that is going to be Brookstone 7. And back when they got, I want to say, sanitary services, they signed an annexation waiver. So they are also being part of this.
So the rest of the subdivision is not part of Jasper then? Is that correct? Is that what you said?
No.
They're all part of it.
Brookstone 7 will be,
That's what this is, annexing it in.
Brookstone 7 is plus 1 from Green Meadows and plus 1 from the Foose property that is that Brookstone wraps around.
And I'm just saying, I guess I didn't understand, but the one lot in Green Meadows then, was there a reason why, the rest of it is part of Jasper, but that one particular lot was not, or the other way around?
Part of Green Meadows is already. Green Meadows is like Brookstone in that it's in sections like 1 and 2 and 3. The dividing line is where utilities were back when it was developed, and part of it got annexed, but part of it did not. And so there is a part of the Green Meadows subdivision that is not where this lot is. It is adjacent to lots that are part of it has enough contiguity that it can come into the city.
Okay, because I was concerned about, like, if we offer, like, fire protection, police protection, stuff like that, how do you drive up to one house and not the house right next door?
Right. Well, there are places, there.
Yeah, that's the way it is.
It has to be an edge somewhere, right? It's like when the rain stops, it's got to stop somewhere, right?
We have that in several areas in the city.
All right.
Good question, though. And all these are contiguous properties, which is part of it as well, and voluntary annexation.
That's right. It's 100%.
So I had a motion from Nancy, a second from Chad. Is there any other questions, discussion around it? Okay. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Brookstone 7 is now annexed, as well as the 2 other properties. Okay, next item is ordinance number 2021-21. And this is an ordinance governing the public sidewalks and streets in the city of Jasper, Indiana. Could I have a motion to consider ordinance 2021-21 for one reading only?
I'll make that motion.
A motion from Nancy,
I'll second.
a second from Phil. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Could I have a motion to have the ordinance read in full or by title only?
Move to read by title only.
I have a motion from Kevin for title only,
I second.
a second from Dave. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Would the city attorney please read ordinance number 2021-21 by title only?
Ordinance number 2021-21, an ordinance governing the public sidewalks and streets in the city of Jasper, Indiana.
Okay, could I ask for a motion to pass and adopt ordinance number 2021-21?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Nancy. Do I have a second? Okay. So I guess we open it to discussion at this point?
Yes, you can, yep. Or it dies.
Or it dies?
Renee, I have a question about the different classes of infraction, or the class violation, I guess is what we might call it. What are the dollar amounts associated with those again?
The first one is 100, the second is 500, the third is 1,250. I think I'm getting this right. And the highest is 2,500. I think that's right.
And Renee, are those up to?
Yes.
So is this stemming from an incident that happened, or is it really, I mean, the only one I really see that blocks streets sometimes, and, you know, when it's repairing sewer lines, you know, it's the Pope crew, but they're usually pretty good about, if you got a major street, they're flagging, and I don't know.
Yeah, has this been a problem or a major problem? And that's what we're going with the ordinance on?
Well, I mean, frankly, people are supposed to come to the Board of Public Works, but there's nothing in writing that says people have to come to the Board of Public Works. And so when they don't come to the Board of Public Works, we can't do anything because we don't have anything in any local ordinance that requires them to do so.
Or some of these emergency situations where they have to do it, and then
That's what I was thinking.
until they get a public works approval, I mean, it's
You know,
difficult to get.
If there's an emergency, they call in.
yeah, that has never been a problem. If someone calls with an emergency, either the mayor gives them permission right away or sends a note out to the board members and gets a response back right away and says, go ahead, or gives a response. The problem is that we have some contractors who just refuse to come and get permission, so they're closing streets without notifying anybody. So when a contractor comes in front of the Board of Public Works, there's a pretty healthy discussion about what's the impact of you closing this street. Do we need to notify the schools? Do we need to notify emergency services? Do we need to notify a hospital? And based upon that discussion, they, yes or no, almost always yes. But then we also have discussion about, you know, where should the street be closed and how should we reroute traffic? And many of the many things, and none of that happens when they just show up and close the street without coming and getting permission.
Is it the same one? Or are there several? I mean, you said it's kind of the same people. I mean, have anybody talked to them?
Yes.
As a matter of fact, that it's been over a course of time that this company has been talked to several times, and they continue to.
Do we have any
Block the streets.
documentation that, on how many occurrences or how many times? I've never heard of this before.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I haven't heard of it being a
I
problem.
think what it really boils down to is that the process is that a company comes before the Board of Public Works for permission, but we don't have that in writing that says that. This just puts that in writing. The intention is not to fine anybody. It is just follow the proper procedures of closing a street or closing a partial street for whatever purpose they need it done for.
Can we take the fines out of it then?
Well, I wouldn't recommend that. I mean, again, just the one instance I'm thinking of, this company has now probably at least 3 or 4 times in a row done the same thing, because all we can do is show up and say, you shouldn't be doing this. And they know that, and so they just continue to do it. And again, we are very amenable to working with people. When there's an emergency, I can guarantee you that no one has ever showed up and said, you didn't come to the Board of Public Works, and I don't care if it's an emergency or not. That's just not how we operate. Never have.
Get them a response as quickly as we can if they don't have the time. But most of these can be planned in advance. They're just not planning it out and contacting people.
Renee, is there a time limit on that? And I might be taking it to a weird level here, but as example, a delivery company that pulls off onto the sidewalk and blocks the sidewalk as they make a delivery or something like that.
That's not what we're talking about.
That's not
No.
what the intent of this is.
No.
This is simply literally closing down a sidewalk or a street or access to an area for a prolonged period of time. Is that correct?
At least-
You don't have to name the name of the company, but can you give me I guess I'm struggling. What is it, like a utility company, or is it a plumbing and heating type company or service company, or?
So I want to be clear, these aren't the only people. These happen to be the most recent and right now, the biggest offender, trims trees.
Okay.
So for example, they'll just close the street because they're trimming a tree. Well, you don't just show up to trim someone's tree. That's known weeks or maybe months in advance that you're going to be providing that service. So that would not really be considered an emergency for needing to close the street. When you're contracting with that family or that homeowner, then this is part of your process of doing that. It should just be built in.
It came to, there's several situations, emergency routes, school routes, so like buses. They don't know a street's being closed and buses get caught in that. There were several incidents that we referred to on this.
So in this incident there, that company would literally close down the street access so another vehicle couldn't get through beyond the sidewalk. It's out on the road as well.
Oh, right, yep.
And we modified them. Matter of fact, last week, they closed the street down. We told them they couldn't do that. We modified it to where they only went to one lane. We allowed one lane of traffic to go through it. But, we had to step in and make that happen, which is fine. We don't mind doing that. But it's the planning part of it. Let those emergency vehicles, let the schools or businesses running semis down the road.
Another example is placing a dumpster on the street. If the dumpster doesn't fit in their driveway, well, it's very important for the street department to be involved in that conversation, because it could be on a street where that dumpster, some of those large ones, could damage that street. And so there's a lot of discussion that happens on where exactly should that dumpster go. Is it in the sight distance of vehicles traveling that way? Is it going to damage the street? Could it be in their yard or their driveway or something like that? So there is a lot of discussion that goes on, and you think, well, it's easy, come and ask. I just need to place that dumpster there. And that sounds easy, and for the most part it is, but a lot of times it's a little more complicated than that, depending on where they want to put it.
But there's not a charge for getting a permit, or is there a charge?
No.
It's interesting, Renee, that you mentioned the tree trimming situation, because literally yesterday on 9th and Clay Street, I was heading west, and there was a truck parked right up to the stop sign. I literally had to go to the left lane to get through that intersection. There was oncoming traffic. That was a potential mess. But I wonder if we can ease the process for them. I mean, they literally have to show up at the Board of Public Works with this proposal.
Well, we ask that they do that for advanced planning, but I bet 2/3 of our requests are done within a day.
And sometimes through just an email process.
So a phone call or an email can accommodate.
Contact the city office, and then we work through approvals. We'll run it through the fire department, police department. We'll run it through all of the Board of Public Works members.
And I don't know, I can't give you an exact percentage, but I'm going to say 90% of the contractors comply. It's not a burden, an unreasonable burden.
And should we pass this as it's written, can we, express, I would prefer that warnings be given, a final warning, before we actually just start handing out the fines. I want them to comply, but
Like I said, in my experience in working with both the police and Kenny, that is exactly how we operate. If you pass this, you won't be changing the way we operate. This is what we do currently. As Nancy said, it's just not in writing.
It's just putting it in writing.
the recourse, I mean, otherwise we just get the same results.
That's right.
Hearing further explanation of this, I'll second Nancy's motion.
I have a second on the motion. Other discussion? Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Good dialogue. I appreciate the questioning attitude. Okay. Next item on the agenda is ordinance number 2021-22, an ordinance establishing a fund for receiving and returning deposits for city facilities, available for one reading only. Could I have a motion to consider the ordinance for one reading only?
I'll make the motion.
Kevin?
Second?
Second from John. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Could I have a motion to have the ordinance read in full or by title only?
Make a motion to be read by title only.
Motion from Nancy for title only.
I'll second.
Second from Phil. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Would the city attorney please read ordinance number 2021-22 by title only?
Ordinance number 2021-22, an ordinance establishing a fund for receiving and returning rental deposits for city facilities.
Could I have a motion to pass and adopt ordinance number 2021-22?
So moved.
I'll second it.
John and then Dave? Further discussion?
Do we not currently have,
Yeah, we passed this ordinance, in fact, within the last year. But if you look at the language in Section 1, the existing language stopped where it says to refund rental damage and/or security deposits back to the individuals or entities from whom they were originally received. That's where it stopped. And Alan has identified circumstances during which he wants to use that damage deposit for repair and/or to pay for any other kind of violation remediation. So we're just adding that last part of the sentence.
Yeah.
Alan, does the deposit typically cover the damage repair?
I mean, it has so far, yes. I mean, because it's been fairly small amounts. Somebody put a fire alarm, that's $25 fine in the contract, so it lets us pull that money out of that instead of trying to get money from that person again and give them all the money back. We just take it straight from there and then refund whatever's left over. So far, we haven't had no issue with anything big so far.
So you evaluate the facility before the deposit's returned?
Yeah.
And if it didn't cover all of the damage, then our recourse would be to collect additional money from the renter.
Okay. That's good.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 2 has passed. Next item is a resolution 2021-15, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Jasper, Indiana regarding the transfer of certain real property by the City of Jasper, Indiana, known as the Hydorn property. Do I have a motion to consider the resolution for one reading only?
I'll make that motion.
From Chad,
I'll second.
I have a second from Kevin. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Could I have a motion to have the resolution read in full or by title only?
Move to be read in title, by title only.
I have a motion from Kevin for title only.
I'll second.
Second from Chad. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, will the city attorney please read resolution 2021-15 by title only?
Resolution number 2021-15, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Jasper, Indiana, regarding the transfer of certain real property by the City of Jasper, Indiana, Hydorn property.
Could I have a motion to pass and adopt resolution number 2021-15?
I'll make that motion.
I have a motion from Kevin,
Second?
second from Nancy. Further discussion? Just a comment on this. This was, we had gone down the path before with another entity that was the intention to transfer the property to, and the agreement through the Du Bois County Foundation, working with them, they couldn't come to terms, so
Their model, Life Springs was the previous entity, and their model just didn't match with the way that the foundation's plan was going forward. So they started looking for other partners, and they identified Dove Recovery House as a better fit for this program. So the Du Bois County Community Foundation Holding Company will be the owner of the property, and Dove Recovery House will be operating the program.
And then I forget on that other agreement we had, if it's no longer used for that purpose, does that property revert back to the city then?
That's the current terms. I had been working with the attorney for Life Springs, negotiating the terms of that agreement. I sent that agreement to the foundation, and we'll begin that negotiation process. So I'm sure they're having their counsel review the previous agreement, but that will definitely be one of the terms.
Life Springs or Dove?
Foundation. The foundation will be the owner.
Holdings, or community, what's the name of it?
You said something about, you sent it to Life Springs.
I sent previously, I worked with them, but now it's with the foundation.
Yeah.
Any other discussion points on it? Okay. I have a motion from Kevin and a second from Nancy. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Resolution 2021-15 has passed. And with that, is there anything else that needs to be brought before the council?
Mayor, I had a couple of things. I know in the past Dave has asked about the pool fence violation list, which was, I forget how many was on that list, but according to Steve Dills, who's taking care of that, the last cycle, he had 10 people on the list. Since then, we're down to 4 that are not finished of those that were in violation. And he expects 2 to be completed and 1 underway, leaving only 1 dragging their feet. So that's pretty good getting through that list this summer, or really, I guess, for about a year and a half.
Right.
And he wants to get the list completed very soon, so there's only 1 active pool audit going on at a time. So I wanted to mention that. And then I wanted to mention something else, a real positive thing. I was selling half-pot tickets at the Big Red booth at Southgate Shopping Center Saturday, and a car of 3 women pulled up from Owensboro. And they wanted to buy some tickets, but they also wanted to let us know what a great community Jasper is. They had never been here before. They had already been to the downtown stores. They'd been to St. Joseph Church. They'd visited all around on their own. And they just didn't understand how a community could be this nice, this clean, this well-kept. And I just said, well, that's what you do when you live here. It's the Jasper way, and it's just what people do when they live here, although we have ordinances in place to make sure those type of things are kept up. But it was a very positive comment from 3 women, 2 sisters and their mom from Owensboro. So I wanted to share that.
Good. I did want to share, if you haven't driven on 56 toward Ireland,
Do it.
the building on the Y is down.
Looks awesome.
And no damage to the neighbors of it. Yeah.
I shared that on the Chamber's Facebook page the other day, and we had almost 8,000 people view that video that I had posted. So people are excited.
Yeah, I've probably had more comments about that than a lot of other things.
Mayor, any update on the sidewalk situation with 231?
We're proceeding with 231. It will not be impacted by NDOT's $75 million grant to the Du Bois and Martin County along 231. So we're proceeding on the east side from Sheeter Road to 30th Street, and then 30th Street to 36th Street will be bid out. I think Chad said this morning, probably August, September.
This fall, yeah.
Try to still get that this fall. But we will not start the Sheeter Road to 30th Street until after Strassenfest.
And one other quick clarification, you had mentioned this, and I guess I wasn't clear on it. On Portersville Road, the road, and then having that like a strip of rocks, and then the walking area. Did you say they were going to do something there with that, or?
We haven't done anything yet. We're still trying to figure out what to do.
Okay.
But we haven't done anything.
Has anybody expressed any concern about it being a safety issue because there's, car traffic so close to the walking area? I've walked it several times, and I know there's a couple times cars probably got a little bit closer than I anticipated, maybe, and just kind of.
I've expressed that.
Okay. Kevin and I expressed that.
I'm glad that I was there.
The proximity is something that, we've looked at, but having some kind of a barrier there would be much better. We just have not got anything engineered at this time, or haven't come up with a good.
Definitely a lot better than it was.
Oh, yeah, definitely take this.
But you could put a curb in there. You could put in a curb, and that would help it a great deal.
That was, this is a different subject then if we're done, but looking at the utility board, they applying for some SWIFT grant applications. That's a pretty major one. It's about $1.4 million. Is that something, if we don't get it, is that something that you have to do? These lead?
I'd say everything that's,
The lead service lines.
it's on our plan to do.
Yep.
We just had, if you notice on the north side of the courthouse, over the weekend, Saturday night, 10 o'clock, we had a water line break there. And we've got, that old infrastructure isn't functioning the way it should. And now you got a new section there and don't know what that might do to others, and keep your fingers crossed that nothing happens during Strassenfest.
Well, I thought it was very interesting to hear what the actual size
Diameter,
of the pipe is. It's supposed to be 6?
be a 6-inch diameter pipe, it's about 50%. It's needed, it needs to get done.
Just glad there weren't bricks in the street when I saw that.
Me too.
Okay, any other questions or updates request? Okay, with that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Kevin?
I'll second.
And a second from Chad. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting adjourned.